Bonjour, bonjour mes niveaux 2, on va continuer la discussion de être en train de, l'imparfait et le passé composé. Let's break down être en train de a little bit further before moving into imperfect and passé composé. Si vous tenez dans vos livres à la page 240. Être en train de, use the expression être en train de to emphasize that someone is doing something at a particular moment, followed with an infinitive. So in the simple present, you'll use the être and just conjugate it like you know how to do in the present. Je suis, tu es, il est, on est, nous sommes, vous êtes, ils, elles sont. Okay, what I introduced in the previous video was with putting être in the imperfect to talk about processes in the past. J'étais en train de, but in the simple present, just conjugate être like you know how to do simple present, and follow the phrase with an infinitive. So in your book, you see, il est en train de faire un feu. So he's in the process or in the middle of making a fire. To use this expression when talking about the past, use the imparfait as I introduced previously. Ils étaient en train de monter le temps quand il a commencé à pleuvoir. So they were in the process of taking down the tent when it began to rain. Okay, so in your, immediately after this rubric, there's a listening exercise. Écoute les phrases suivantes et décide si on a déjà fait quelque chose, if someone's already done something, ou B, on est en train de faire quelque chose. Okay, so for these dialogues, Doudou est allé au terrain de camping. Okay, something already happened, déjà fait, ou est-ce qu'il est en train de faire quelque chose? Doudou est allé au terrain de camping. Marianne et Isabelle sont en train d'allumer le feu de camp. Marianne et Isabelle sont en train d'allumer le feu de camp. Papa était en train de monter la tente quand il a trouvé les allumettes. Papa était en train de monter la tente quand il a trouvé les allumettes. Oui, on a acheté les boîtes de conserve. Oui, on a acheté les boîtes de conserve. J'ai mis de la crème solaire. J'ai mis de la crème solaire. Mes parents sont en train de sortir les lanternes. Mes parents sont en train de sortir les lanternes. Okay, so could you discover which ones were already done and something that was in the process of being done? Okay, so the ones that are in the process of being done, you'll hear être en train de in the description. Okay? And once more. Doudou est allé au terrain de camping. Marianne et Isabelle sont en train d'allumer le feu de camp. Papa était en train de monter la tente quand il a trouvé les allumettes. Oui, on a acheté les boîtes de conserve. J'ai mis de la crème solaire. Mes parents sont en train de sortir les lanternes. Okay, so you can hear the être en train de. Okay, so as I mentioned at the end of the previous video, I would get a little more into passé composé and imparfait. So, and from your book, I'm on page 238. So you know that you use the passé composé to tell what happened, and the imparfait to tell what things used to be like, what people used to do, previous processes, continued past action. All of this is continued past action. Here are some additional ways to use the terms. So use imparfait to give background information. Okay, so I can say, I can pick a time in the past and talk about when I was a student. J'étais étudiant. J'étais à l'université. Okay, so I was a student, I was at university. J'étais en France. Okay, I was in France. Okay, I can set the scene or explain the circumstances. Okay, so in the previous video of being on the way to the market, j'étais en train de me balader au marché. I was on the way to the market. J'étais en train de dormir. J'ai dormi. I was sleeping. J'étais en train de préparer le dîner. I was in the process of making dinner. Okay, you can set the scene, explain the circumstances. Explain what you used to do repeatedly, often. You can use, the expressions that I put on the board. Souvent, d'habitude, normalement, de temps en temps. Okay. Quand j'étais jeune, when I was young, de temps en temps, je jouais au basket avec mes amis. From time to time, I would play basketball with my friends. Okay? Use passé composé to tell what happened on a specific occasion. Okay, so I can use je dormais for my imparfait, or j'étais en train de cuisiner for imparfait, and then I can have that interrupted with quand ma mère m'a appelé, when my mom called, quand une amie m'a appelé, when a friend called. Use the passé composé to tell about events happening within a specified period of time in the past. Okay, and you're given an example. Il a travaillé à Dakar pendant 3 ans. Okay, so he worked in Dakar for 3 years. Il a travaillé à Dakar pendant 3 ans. Okay, so in this example, this happened over the course of 3 years. So why am I not using imperfect for this? It sounds like continued past action, 3 years worth of work, but that action continues for 3 years, yes, but it's still contained in that 3 years. Think of that 3 years as an instance that's being described and held in place in passé composé. With imperfect, continued past action is when that action is indeterminate. When that action ends is indeterminate. So when, at the very beginning, the first thing in exprimons-nous, with the father coming up. Okay, j'ai entendu une voiture, c'était mon père. It was my father, imperfect. Okay, so there's no definite termination of his time of being the father. He was the father in the past, he continued to be the father in the past with for an indeterminate span of time. Okay? Il avait un briquet. He had the lighter. He was having the lighter. He had it before for some time and continued to have it in the past for some time for an indeterminate amount of time. Okay, that's the difference. Even though this action of working in Dakar has continued for 3 years, don't think of it as indeterminate continued past action. That 3 years is contained in the passé composé. Okay, so that's why I'm saying, and that's why you're instructed in the book this way. Il a travaillé à Dakar pendant 3 ans. Il a travaillé à Dakar, passé composé, pendant 3 ans. That's why it's passé composé there and not imparfait, because that 3 years does have a definitive start and a definitive end. Okay? Talk about a change in reaction to something, often after words like soudain, suddenly, à ce moment-là, at that moment, au moment où, at the time of. Okay? So, j'étais en train de monter le tente et soudain, il y a eu un orage. Soudain, il a commencé à pleuvoir. Okay, so I was putting up my tent and suddenly there was a storm, or suddenly it started to rain. Okay, and so that's how you can break that up. So if I give you these like these breakdowns, what phrases can you think of that would fit these rules? So imparfait, give background information and think of a phrase. Okay. Passé composé, tell what happened on a specific occasion, maybe given that background information, thinking of a phrase. Imparfait, to set the scene and explain a circumstance. Passé composé, tell about events happening as a result of that circumstance, or in an instance in the scene. Using imparfait, explain what you used to do repeatedly or habitually. Often, souvent, tous les jours, d'habitude, de temps en temps. Maybe thinking about childhood or previous school experiences, routines, thinking of a phrase in imparfait. And break it up, passé composé. Talk about a change, a reaction to something that broke the routine, a particular moment when you were doing something, in the process of doing something in the past. Soudain, suddenly, à ce moment-là, au moment où. Thinking of a phrase. Au moment où j'ai allumé le briquet, un coup de vent a soufflé. At the moment that I lit the lighter, there was a blast of wind and took the flame out. Okay. So that's how. Again, it isn't complicated. It functions just like in English. And that's how passé composé, imparfait, and être en train can all function together. Merci, merci.